In Minnesota, to figure out what a person's sentence will be for a felony conviction, the court uses the Minnesota Sentencing Guidelines. These are a set of guidelines that determine the presumptive sentence for felony offenses.
But wait, I thought the sentence for each crime was set by statute.
While it is true that every crime has a statutory maximum, meaning the highest number of years that someone could be sentenced to for that crime, that's not really how a person's sentence is actually determined. Instead, judges use the sentencing guidelines, which look at two factors. First, the severity level of the offense, and then the person's criminal history score.
How is the severity level of offense measured?
The sentencing guidelines give each type of felony a severity level score, ranging from 1 to 11, with 1 being the least serious type of crime and 11 being the most serious type of crime. Fleeing the police in a motor vehicle is an example of a felony with a severity level score of 1, while second-degree intentional murder is a severity level 11.
How does the criminal history score affect sentencing?
The more prior convictions a person has, the more points they receive, and the longer the sentence will be. In Minnesota, a person's criminal history score can range from 0 to 6+. A person with a lower criminal history score, for example, 0 or 1, will be given a shorter sentence than a person convicted of the same crime with a higher criminal history score, for example, a 3 or 4.
What is the sentence after both of these factors are considered?
To figure out what the actual sentence will be, the court will use the Sentencing Guidelines grid. This is a chart that shows the specific range for an offense based on the severity level and the person's criminal history score. Where these two numbers intersect, there's a box which contains the range of months, and this is generally the sentence range that the judge can choose from. For example, Derek Chauvin was convicted of second-degree unintentional murder, which is the severity level of 10, and he has a criminal history score of 0. So even though the statutory maximum is 40 years, the range in the Sentencing Guidelines grid is 128 to 180 months, and his presumptive sentence was 150 months, or 12.5 years.
Can a person be given a shorter or longer sentence than what is in the grid?
Even though the grid sets the sentencing range, a judge can give a sentence that is outside of this range, either longer or shorter, when there is substantial and compelling circumstances. Giving a sentence outside of the sentencing grid range is called a departure. In the case of Derek Chauvin, the state proved that there were several aggravating factors present. Also called Blakely factors, these are the facts about the case that make it more serious than a typical case of its type. A finding that aggravating factors exist allows the judge to set a longer sentence than the sentencing guidelines call for.